Hey, first graders, it is time for chapter 13 of Pinocchio. But first, I would like to hear how you spent the last couple days of your spring break, because tomorrow spring break is over. I guess officially you can do spring break one more day because you're not getting your supplies till Tuesday. So you have one more extra day of spring break. But after tomorrow it will be over. So I want to hear how you spent your spring break. What did you do at home? Hopefully you're all staying home and staying healthy and safe like I am. So tell me what you did. Did you build a cool fort in your living room, or did you read a new book, or what else? Do you know what Lila and Max did? They had these big panda bears, and they found some of my masking tape, and they taped the bears to their bodies, and then they were like slamming their bodies into each other like sumo wrestlers, and it was pretty hilarious, but they did not ask first. So if you're gonna do that, ask first for masking tape. And parents, I apologize if you don't like that idea, but it was kind of funny. It'll be a good picture to take. And of course I didn't get a picture. Anyway, I'm gonna read Pinocchio. Here we go. Fairy makes Pinocchio a promise. Now remember, in the last chapter, we saw that Pinocchio was about to get fried like a fish by the fisherman. So let's see what happens. The flour-covered Pinocchio, remember he was dipped in flour to be fried, closed his eyes and prepared to meet his fate. But just as the fisherman was about to drop the puppet into the pan, a large dog who smelled the cooking oil ran into the cave. The fisherman shooed him away, but the dog continued to beg and whine. "I said get out," the fisherman yelled, giving the dog a kick. The dog growled and showed his fangs in response. Pinocchio's eyes were too filled with flour to see, but he thought he recognized that growl. Do you recognize that growl? Do you know which dog that is? Who is it? Think about it. Whisper. Throw it at me. Alidoro! You're right, it's Alidoro, isn't it? In a tiny flour-filled voice, he cried, "Alidoro, is that you? Save me, or I am fried." Alidoro recognized that voice. It was Pinocchio, the puppet who had saved him from drowning. Surely one great save deserved another. With one leap, he grasped the puppet gently in his teeth and ran out the door. Grasped. So we learned that vocab word. Grasp means to take something. And if you grasp it, you're kind of taking it in your hand so that you can take it away. Or in his case, he grasped it in his jaw. But he did it really gently, very gently. And there's a picture. Some distance away, Alidoro laid Pinocchio down on the ground. "Thank you," Pinocchio cried. "You saved my life," Alidoro said. "I simply returned the favor." The two shook hands, or rather paw and wood, and vowed to be good friends forever. Then they went their separate ways. "Oh, I hope Fairy will forgive me," he thought as he continued on his way. When he arrived at the village, it was so dark he could barely see. Just as he arrived at Fairy's house, it started to rain. Pinocchio was so nervous, he was afraid to knock. He simply stood there, getting soaked. Finally, he worked up his courage and reached out and banged on the door. He waited, and after about half an hour, that's 30 minutes, a fourth-floor window opened and a large snail looked out. "Who knocks at this late hour?" she called. "Is Fairy home?" asked the puppet. "Who are you?" "Pinocchio," the puppet replied. "Oh," the snail said, "wait here. I'll come down and open the door." "Hurry!" Pinocchio cried. Do you think she's gonna hurry? Why not? Why? Yeah, because she's a snail. Snails don't hurry anywhere. "I am a snail," she said. "Snails are slow." She wasn't kidding. An hour passed, and then two, and still no snail. By then, Pinocchio was so cold and wet that he couldn't stop shivering. Out of desperation, he knocked again and was dismayed, meaning kind of sad, upset, to see a window on the third floor open. A second later, the snail looked out. "I'm coming," she called down cheerfully. Wait, she's only on the third floor? She's still got 3 more floors to go after 2 hours. That's a lot of time. "Dear snail," Pinocchio cried, "I have been waiting here for 2 hours. Can you really only have made it to the 3rd floor? I am so cold and tired. Please hurry." "I am a snail," the snail said. "Haven't you heard? Snails are slow." Pinocchio couldn't stand it anymore. He had to get inside. He stepped back and kicked the door so hard that his foot went straight through and his body almost followed behind it. He tried to pull back, but found that his foot was stuck. Poor Pinocchio. Meanwhile, the rain continued to fall. The extremely slow snail probably wasn't even on the 2nd floor yet. 9 hours later, the door... 9 hours later, you heard that correctly. The door finally opened. "Whew!" the snail exclaimed, out of breath from her effort. "I am getting too old to rush like that. What are you doing with your foot through the door?" "It's a long story," Pinocchio said. "Please help me. I'm stuck. Call Fairy." "She is sleeping and doesn't want to be disturbed." "Well, what am I supposed to do?" Pinocchio asked. "Can you at least bring me something to eat?" Pinocchio sounds kind of cranky. "Immediately," the snail replied. Do you think she's going to come immediately? How long do you think it's going to take her to bring back food? Make your guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours? Do you have your guess? Say it out loud. I think, well, I already know the answer, so I'm not going to guess. All right, are you ready to hear it? The slowest waitress in the world, she returned almost 3 hours later with some chicken, bread, and 4 ripe apricots. "Compliments of Fairy," the snail said cheerfully. Pinocchio lunged for the food, overjoyed, until, that is, he took a bite and realized that the food was fake. The bread was made of chalk, the chicken of cardboard, and the fruit of colored clay. Yuck! What cruel joke was this? He was so disappointed and cold and hungry and tired that he fainted. When he awoke, he found himself on a sofa with Fairy looking down at him. "Do you forgive me, Fairy?" he asked quietly. "This time," Fairy said, "but you must promise never to get in trouble again." Pinocchio promised, and he kept his word. We're about to fast forward a year. Are you ready? After about a year of perfect behavior, Fairy said, "Well, I must say I'm impressed. You've kept your promise and been a very good boy. As a reward, tomorrow your wish will finally come true. You will stop being a puppet and turn into a real boy." Yay! Pinocchio was overjoyed. "We must have a party to celebrate my becoming a boy," he cried. He decided that he would invite all of his friends and schoolmates. Fairy promised to prepare 200 cups of hot chocolate and 400 pieces of cake with whipped cream. Oh, what a party it was going to be. Wow, exciting. No picture, just words. And that's okay, because we have pictures in our minds, huh? Of what those cakes and what those hot chocolate might look like. Do you think that he's going to become a real boy tomorrow? Let me give you a clue. We still have this much of the book left. We'll see. I hope he doesn't do anything to mess it up. We'll find out. I would have you write me whether or not you think he'd mess it up, but I also want you to tell me about spring break. So you may write me if you think he's going to mess it up and not become a real boy, or if you think he's going to stay perfect and keep making those smart choices, and if he'll go ahead and become a real boy and maybe see Geppetto again. You can write me that if you'd like, but really, really tell me what you did on your spring break. I would love to hear any stories that you'd like to tell me, because I miss your wonderful stories. Air hugs, little firsties. Oh, did I tell you what chapter 2 tomorrow? Chapter 14 is called tomorrow? Or whenever I read it to you. A but instead of boy. Don't laugh. It's very serious. A but instead of boy. No laughing. Air hugs. Bye. Oh, I forgot to show you my shirt. I bought this for you guys to wear at school, and then it just came. So I can't wear it at school anymore, so I wear it now. Do you see Pluto down there? Why is Pluto sad? Why do you think Pluto's sad? You tell me. I knew you guys would love this shirt. I'll see you later. Bye.